Perfect Legend put out a tweet that says, justify paying $100 venue fee for a FGC local. Now, many people have different opinions on if it's worth it. Is it not worth it? Should we pay it? Should we not pay it? I think all of us here, I mean, not everybody has the same take. I mean, it might vary, but so we'll start off with Mr. T.O. the Flow himself, resting his back from that deadlift world record. What do you think, man? Do you think you can justify paying $100 for fighting game tournaments? And if not, what do you think will help that?
So we were discussing this before the podcast started, and just to keep it brief, I'll say that I think the only way to justify, like, I get it. I get that, things cost money. I mean, inflation is hitting everything right now. So, I completely understand the idea of raising the cost for entry to these events. The only thing is that if you're going to do that, I think you have to provide more value, especially more so for the casual that will show up than like the actual like full-blooded competitors, like the ones who are probably going to make at least top 32 or something like that. Those people, I mean, they probably are not going to mind. But the ones who are going to be like the viewers, the ones sitting in the audience, the people who are just kind of there to go 0-2 and, go home or something like that, they're going to see that $100 fee and be like, nah, I can't do that. It's just because I'm looking at it from, like, as a person who has been to like anime conventions and other types of conventions, like, honestly, like, even those kind of conventions don't have like $100 venue fee, or even, well, what they usually have is like a pass where you either have like a day pass, 2-day or 3-day. And depending on the level of convention you're going to, obviously, if you're going to like Comic-Con, like San Diego Comic-Con or something like that, that's going to be a lot more pricey than just your average, like, I don't know, like A-Con in Dallas or something like that. That's just two totally different scales. A-Con is big, don't get me wrong, but that's not on the same level as like a Comic-Con where you meet like actual celebrities and stuff like that.
They put some respect on the D, man.
Hey, I mean, hey, I like A-Con. A-Con is a good convention, but yeah, but even conventions like that, they don't have like $100 entry fee or anything like that. And that's for a 3-day pass. Usually, unless you're like going in at like the last minute, you're paying like what, maybe like no more than like $60 or something like that. It's been a while. I haven't been to a convention like a couple years due to, obvious circumstances, but yeah, even before then you weren't paying that much to get in for 3 days. So I guess the point that I'm just trying to make is the value would just need to be there to warrant that $100 venue fee. I think that, I think you're probably going to hit on this when you talk about it, is you have to provide like some kind of value outside of just the fighting game space for people to pay that kind of price. Like when you go to conventions, usually they'll have like a game floor or something like that where you can play like other games. You can have like bring your own PC areas, bring your own controllers, etc. So that kind of stuff you would definitely need if you were going to raise the venue prices like that. So that's my opinion on is that I think the only way you could realistically pull that off is if you bring more value to these kind of events. And I think that's going to be hard because not every FGC event can be an Evo or a combo breaker. It's just, that's too much. It's every week, what we're going to have, an Evo every week? That's asking for way too much. So yeah, that's my take on it. It's just the value just has to be there. And I don't think that every single event is going to be ready to provide that value.
Yeah, like we were talking about before, is like $100, like $100 fee would be okay, but like Terance was saying, like there has to be value, man. It's like it's like for people who are either like people like me who go 0-2, like at the very beginning of the tournament, or like people who come in, not necessarily to play, because there are people who show up but not necessarily to play fighting games. Like they're kind of there for like the FGC tournament experience,
like the spectacle. Yeah,
exactly.
The atmosphere, the ambiance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's so much to come for, but then it's like, okay, I don't want to like come off as a jerk necessarily, but once the new for that event has worn off, then like what else is there to do, right? like what else are you going to do? Like Terance was saying, like the bring your own PC station kind of thing is great. Like I was saying before we started, that one of the things that like a BYOC or BYOP PC thing is that it gives you a spot to sit down. And for those of you who've gone to tournaments and who have walked around with your friends playing Tekken, Street Fighter, Guilty Gear, what have you, then you after a while you're like, man, my feet hurt, and you don't want to have to fight somebody over a seat. You don't want to have to go look for one. When you have like I tell you, it's almost, you cannot put a price tag on having a place to sit during a 3-day fighting game event, because you're going to be you will be walking around. You will be walking, especially if you brought your friends. If you came as a group, you will be walking around. Your feet are going to hurt, and you are going to get tired, and you're going to want to sit down as a group. So what better way to sit down as a group than to have like a whole like row or whatever, or grouping, and in like a bring your own computer set area. You know, those are, in my opinion, those are some of the best things that you can have at a fighting game tournament, because now you can just say, hey man, you guys want to go play sets right over here, like, and you don't like, it's amazing. And one of the things that I kind of enjoy about situations like that is like, you could be like, hey, like have like 4 or 5 people and everybody has a different game on every on every console. Like that would be pretty slick. But anyway, I feel like that's the kind of thing that brings more value. Like I remember going to Defend the North when they had like the after party and then all the cool swag that you got. I mean, that's adding all this value to coming to like Defend the North. Like, I don't even remember the price. I didn't care because I was like, yo, I want this stuff. Like, that's big value to me. Like having a sweater that says Defend the North on it with a joystick and it looks real cool. It's a black hoodie. That's awesome. Like, there's so many different ways to bring value, you know? And I'm not saying that like going to a tournament right now doesn't have value. I'm just saying that if like we would like people to be like, hey, shelling out $100, you say, hey, give me $100 to come in here, and you say, okay, well, what is there to do? And you say, well, we got this, and this outside of the fact that we have like fighting games and stuff like that, and you know, camaraderie. So I mean, like I said, like it's not like there's not value there now, but if we were to say, hey, let's justify paying $100, then the bar, I would say, has to be raised a little bit in terms of content, the kind of stuff that you're giving to people at these events.
For me, I'll say right now, as we speak, you know, there's probably really only 3 tournaments in the FGC that you could possibly say like I'd pay $100 for that, and that's Evo, Combo Breaker, and CEO. Those are the 3 main ones, you know, the Trinity within the FGC. But other than that, any other local, any other local, major, monthly, you could probably justify like, no, it's not worth, easily justify it's not worth over $100. But my area that I come into that is we want better events. We want more extravagant events and things of that nature. Like, as we know, we live in a world, in a country that is capitalist. It's capitalism here. So everything costs money. You want to eat, that costs money. You want to drink water, that costs money. You want to breathe, they might find a way to tax that after a while.
And that's no cap, man.
Air already costs us money. You know, you want to go put some air in your tires. It's not like you can. The air that's around us, you know, they found a way to pay charges for that. So everything costs money, and we already know TOs are just known to come out and say, "Hey, we don't make money doing this." Even the majors, like, we don't make money doing this. At most, you're breaking even. You know, they do it for the love of the community. So if we want to have a sustainable community where people can put their all into this stuff, where we can have better events every year, where's the money going to come from? It has to come from us, unless you're going to say, well, you know, you can go take out this loan and that way you'll get more money, and then we'll find it like worthy of you to be worthy for us to give you $100. I really believe that for me, I would pay for majors. I would pay $100 for any decent, reputable major, just to invest in you, so that you could come back stronger each year. Because you have to invest in what you believe in. You have to invest in what you love. You have to invest in what you want to see grow. I mean, so if we're not going to do it and people are just going to say, hey, you know, I don't see the value there. Well, how am I going to go get the value? It costs me money. Like all these other people, they go out and get loans to do this stuff. I mean, I'm already taking out a loan to run this. Do you want me to go take out more loans to just give you something that even then you might come out and say it's still not worth it to you? You know, so me personally, I would pay $100. I would justify it by saying like, if you really want to see your community grow, you believe in it, and you want to see it best that it can be, then sow into it. You know, so that would be my justification for it. So anybody else got anything there?